only way to get through things is to do it that way. But I don't beat myself up if I don't achieve something one day. I mean, if it's over the course of the week or the month, whatever I have to do. In my line of work, sometimes I need to be quite reactive to things, and just being okay with the way that you approach things, as long as it gets done, however you can get there, and still be functional along the way is the most important thing. And as long as you're growing and progressing, like making mistakes along the way. I'm sure that people get up in the morning and go, I'm going to have a great week, and nothing happened to me. Hope that nothing happens to me.
And then the whole world caves in.
There's no resilience. You've built no resilience up. I think all of these negative adversities that happen throughout the week, throughout the year, throughout the month or whatever. Are necessary to grow. Because think about this, right? I don't want to go off on a tangent, but think about a man who has grown up and never experienced adversity in their life, had been so heavily protected by his parents when he was a child, nothing ever bad happened to him. What happens if he hits something that's really bad? He's not going to know how to deal with it. Then there's the kid that has, gone through so much adversity in life and had, things that have challenging things happen to them. He's going to have so much more resilience. And I think if you're hitting adversities, you need to grow from them and learn from them. And that's success, I think. And that's probably deviated a little bit. But
no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
The plan needs to go through adversity.
Where I was going to go with that was that in my entrepreneurial sort of career, in my time of being a business owner, I've always tried out so many different businesses, and I'm still involved in, various businesses now in different industries, but I was in way more before this time. And what happened with me was I made the mistake of trying to find the next best thing, and I'll try something out for about a year, and then, it didn't turn out the way I expected it to, and then I'd go and deviate and get distracted with another industry or a different business, and
always busy.
Yeah, a lot of people fall into that trap where they never actually accomplish anything. Yep. They try so many different things in different industries because they get bored and they don't stick anything out. And I guess one of the things that I did stick out was property, and it always returned for me, and I stayed hyper focused on property, and I became very, very good at it. But it took me almost 10 years, right? So I think what happens to people is they're impatient. They can't stick it out. They want the instant gratification. They see what's on social media and then what's out there. They watch the Kardashians and they see that people are doing nothing and becoming famous, and they want all of that, right? They want it straight away. Like, I've had people who have worked for me for literally 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden they've asked for a pay rise, and it's like, man, you haven't even worked for 6 months, so you haven't even worked for a year, you haven't even proved yourself, right? Exactly. And we're moving, the world is moving at such a rapid rate. What happens is that people think that they should be moving in that same amount of time in terms of their progression, but in reality, like, all of these successful people in business and all these successful entrepreneurs, it's a small minority who hit it off in like 2 or 3 years. Like, the majority of them are 10, 15, 20 years before they've actually hit the jackpot, right? And people don't get that. People don't want to stick it out. And that's what you've always got to remember. If you've got a plan and you know where you want to go, then it needs to be like a 10-year plan. Yep. It can't just be like a 6-month plan or a 1-year plan and then expect to rake in millions. You need to stay focused, stick to the plan, don't deviate, and it's going to take, sometimes a couple of decades, and that's the cold hard truth. No one wants to talk about that because it's not glamorous. No. Right? It's not sexy. They don't get passionate about it because it's like, oh man, like 10, 20 years, like, I'm going to be so old then. But that's the truth. It took me 10 years to get to where I am now, and I'm still not happy, right? So when I say still not happy, I'm still not content with what I've achieved. So it's important to know that good things take time. And if you don't focus and you keep jumping from one thing to another, what's going to happen is that you'll never get good at something. You'll never be considered an expert at that one thing, right? So it's important to find what you're passionate about and find what your purpose is. And sometimes that takes a very long time. But find that passion, find that purpose, and then come up with a plan on how you're going to be an expert at it and focus on that.
Yep.
Don't deviate. If there are going to be distractions on the way, like temptation, for example, like your friends are going to say, come out with us and go drinking on the weekend. No. You're not going to do that. I'm going to stay in. I'm going to work on my craft, and I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to be the best at it. You know what I mean?
That's
I'm going
right.
to be
Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan, right? If you're trying to lose weight, right, and you really, really need to lose weight because you've got a photo shoot coming up, then, don't go to the freezer and eat ice cream, right? Like, avoid that temptation.
Yeah.
Stick to the plan.
Yeah.
That's why we have diet plans. So it's the same in business. Stick to the plan. Don't go and blow your money on a fancy new car or some fancy jewelry, unnecessarily, when you should be putting that money into your business, because that's part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't deviate from the plan, and you will succeed. Like Jade said, she said, you're gonna come up with problems along the way, but that's life.
You
know what I mean? Adversities are going to hit you, and you need those adversities to shape you.
Yeah.
Right? But don't deviate from the plan. Stick to the plan.
Of course. No, I couldn't agree more with you, and that coffee's certainly working a treat, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm on fire. What else have you got for me?
Oh, God. Do we have all night? No, but I was going to say, guys, look, we're going to wrap it up soon, but before we do, one of the last parts that I read out there was implementing motivational techniques. I think this is probably one of the most important as well, because this here is I guess probably the hardest part, and you have to be the most consistent with this, because it's keeping that fire alive in your belly. It's so easy for anyone to have a flat day and then everything just kind of starts crumbling down from there. I've been through it, you've been through it, Zah and Jade yourself. We've all been through it, where just that slight little micro problem becomes a macro disaster, essentially. But I'll start with you, Jade. Implementing motivational techniques, what do you do personally, and what is your advice for the listeners out there on how to implement motivational techniques for themselves?
Gratitude is my biggest thing. I think practicing gratitude every single day will help you stay on track, and it keeps me motivated. Certainly the things that I'm grateful for every single day that I talk about to myself overshadows anything that I deal with in any given day, and just I'm on a journey where I'm big picture. Like I'm constantly reminded big picture every single day, and I think I'm just reminding myself of that. That's my motivation for sure. And I think surround yourself with people that are doing much better than you and that are far more successful than you. So look at have a real good look at your network and what it's actually doing for you. Is it growing you, or is it serving you any positive purpose in your life? I have a team that work under me as well. So I think me motivating them, I get a lot of motivation out of that as well. Personal development's huge. I know we'll probably talk about that in another podcast and for another day, but personal development is one of my big all-time favourite things to do. But that's my list.
Fantastic.
For sure.
Zah?
Where do I start? Yeah. Motivational techniques. Like for me, it's probably it's probably my role in all our businesses. I think it's connecting with people, like Jade said, connecting with people who have done better than you, not being the smartest one in the room, but actually being the dumbest one in the room. So reaching out to people who have achieved more than you. But it's about trying new things all the time, because the thing with motivational techniques, what works for Jade won't work for me, or whatever, right? Everyone's different.
Yep.
But I find with motivational techniques, if your body adapts to them and your mind adapts to motivational techniques. So what happens is that you might have some sort of routine that you do in the morning, and your body just gets used to it, and then your mind gets used to it, and it doesn't really have an effect anymore. It's almost like a drug. If you take it too many times, your body just adapts to it. So I am a big believer in coming up with new techniques day in, day out, whenever you can. So I'm constantly researching on new techniques that can help keep me motivated and and hyper focused. And I've come up with a new technique which I've only implemented in the last 2 or 3 days, which you guys are probably going to laugh at me, but it's pretty effective, and it's worked for me so far, and it's only been 3 days, and that's by having a cold shower in the morning. I knew you guys would laugh at me, but if you do the research on it, it actually works, and it, especially after
explain what
10K run.
What is this cold shower?
How did this cold shower thing come about?
Okay, again, you guys are going to laugh at me, but the hot water was cut off in my apartment, and I actually had to have a cold shower. And I felt great afterwards. And I thought, I'm going to research and see what cold showers actually do for you in terms of benefits, right? And what it does, besides from, some anti-aging benefits and all of that sort of stuff.
Really?
But it actually mentally sets you up for the day.
Wow.
Because it wakes you up, it tightens your skin up, it creates this hyper focus in your brain.
And helps you swear.
It teaches you willpower.
Yeah.
It teaches you discipline, because it's not easy. If you're used to luxurious hot water every single day your whole life, then to get under a freezing cold shower, that takes discipline.
Yeah.
That you've got to really pump yourself up for it. And now it's become, after the third day, which is Wednesday today, it's become the third day. I've trained myself to be calm with it and actually, just get in there and not have to brace myself for it.
Yeah, not
and
resist against it.
What happens? It injects this like an energy. You know what I mean? Into your system, and it just sets you up for the day. Like, you are awake and you're ready to go. So, getting back to implementing techniques, that's a new technique that I'm using, which is working, right? So I need to do different things because, like anything, you can get stale, right?
Well, it's like, for example, when you're working out, like if you continue doing the same exercise on the same weight every day, you'll have a certain shape, but it will never get either bigger or smaller or more defined or anything. And it's the same with the brain.
Cold showers is like hitting adversity.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When you first do it, you're hitting this, this stress hormone that you're training your body to deal with, right? And that's the whole point of it. It's putting your body under stress, good stress, to train it to get past the bad stress. And those motivational techniques, everybody's different. Like Jade said, personal development is a big one for me as well. Listening to podcasts, doing the seminars, workshops, reading plenty of books, and connecting with people who are like-minded. That's the biggest thing, because we live in a society now where, I've said it before, people like to point and laugh, and there's a lot of negativity around. Eliminate those people out of your life, because you actually don't need them. Surround yourself with like-minded people who are on the same path as you in terms of personal development, and you'll get motivation from those people.
I love it. That's great. And the cold shower technique, I'll try that tomorrow morning.
Man, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to let you know how I go, but don't know if that's going to be an everyday thing. That's very interesting, and I really like. That's different
technique.
Because a lot of techniques we would have talked about even a few weeks ago would have been certain motivational videos and podcasts and stuff like that. I mean, that's all stock standard now for people.
I talk about my little gratitude session, and Zach comes out with cold showers. Puts me to shame.
Look, I'm always trying to I'm trying to come up with new ways that my ways are quite extreme. Because, like I said before, my role in the businesses are to motivate and to be the king of motivation. So I've got to constantly come up with these new ways to motivate myself, because I don't really have anyone doing it for me. And that's like all our listeners out there, like, you guys have to come up with what works for you. So, right now, this is what's working for me. It probably will wear off in like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. But at the moment, it's definitely, getting me out the door.
It would be, yeah. So, guys, before we wrap up, just to give you a quick wrap up on everything, today we are talking about focus and how to stay on top of being focused. A quick little summary is how to stay focused. Create a set of milestones that will help you move towards your goals without losing your focus. For example, you can set a monthly milestone or even a weekly milestone. It'll help you stay on track as you reach for that long-term goal. To create your milestones, just break down your goals into equal parts. And there's 8 little steps, which we'll go over again quickly before we go, which is write out your goals, number 1. Number 2 is create a mission statement. Number 3, become an effective manager of your time. Number 4, develop milestones towards your goals. Number 5, meticulously construct and follow a plan. Number 6, analyze your progress on a daily